Jrue Holiday just got traded to the Boston Celtics. I did a video very recently speculating on what his future is going to be. I thought there was a good chance Portland was actually going to keep him around and play him for quite a bit, but they decided we were not going to waste any time here, and they moved him to the Celtics. The Celtics being the destination that I predicted him to go to because it made the most sense. Hello everybody, welcome to Austin Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already and drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second. It makes a massive difference in how the video performs in the YouTube algorithm. From a fit perspective, they obviously just lost a defensive-minded playmaking guard in Marcus Smart, and now they're managing to get that type of player right back on top of having Kristaps Porzingis. So really, I just gotta say, from the jump, I think Boston has had a phenomenal offseason with this move. I also have to say, out of the gate for Portland, dude, this was the best offer on the table. Like, straight up, the Dame trade, where Portland went was what was best for Portland. I was kind of tentative about who had the better offer initially, but taking into account what they got for Jrue Holiday, it makes it just the obviously better package, because whatever salary filler Miami was going to be sending to Portland, it was not going to be salary filler that is, you know, good or good players, and a player that can be traded for. Here's what the package was: Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, the 2024 Golden State Warriors first round pick, and a 2029 unprotected Boston Celtics first round pick. So if you take into consideration with the Bucks trade, they got another unprotected pick from the Bucks, and they got 2 swaps, and they get the Warriors pick this year, and they get an unprotected pick from the Celtics in 2029 as well. That's essentially 3 first round picks and 2 swaps, when Miami, I believe, could only offer 2 picks and a swap, or somewhere in that ballpark. So already you're getting more draft capital. DeAndre Ayton may be a worse player than Tyler Hero. I don't know about that, but I'm not going to argue the point. He's definitely one that makes way more sense for Portland, given that they already have 2, kind of 3 guards. I know Shaedon Sharpe can play small forward, but he is really a 2 guard in my mind. So Tyler Hero didn't really make sense there. So you got that guy, DeAndre Ayton, as a big man. You now have Robert Williams, who's a really good young big man, although I could potentially see them trying to trade him as well, or just trying to see who ends up actually being the better player between the 2. I guess we'll see there. And then you could probably get something for Malcolm Brogdon, although there is speculation that he has injury stuff that's just really not going to be recoverable. Hopefully that's not the case. Obviously, we don't want to see anybody have career-ending injuries, but, you know, if it is the case, you're not going to get jack shit for him. But one way or the other, the draft capital they got back, better than what Miami had to offer. The players they got back, better than what Miami had to offer, when you are taking into account what they got for Jrue Holiday. So on Portland's end of this thing, I think this was a home run. On Boston's end, this definitely could feel like an overpay. Robert Williams is a hit. I do think some people have overblown his value to this team. Do not get me wrong. Robert Williams, good ass player, like a really good player, and defensively, like literally one of the best defensive players in basketball. When he's getting the minutes, he is a defensive player of the year candidate. The issue is the best ability is availability, and he is just never available. So that's kind of a fucking problem. If he's not going to be on the floor, then he's not going to bring contributions. And how many times now has there been a situation with the Celtics where they go, well, if we had Robert Williams, things would have turned around? There's only so many times you can play the if we had this player game before maybe you just move that player and stop hoping for that to happen. Obviously, this is a little concerning for the potential thinness of the center position for the Celtics, but I would also argue that, like, the center position is easily the easiest one to just completely find a free agent right now who can do the job well enough. Like, Bismack Biyombo is a free agent right now. If the Celtics signed him, obviously he's not Robert Williams, but if he's going to play like 12 minutes a game, it's not the end of the world. The center position is the easiest one to just get a guy who's tall and survive for a little bit. That's not the ideal for long term and for like big playoff minutes, but it works in short spurts. Al Horford still can play the center position plenty. Kristaps Porzingis, probably the team's starting center, and obviously Kristaps has his injury issues as well. So there's definitely going to be some times where it's like, damn, the Celtics feel pretty thin at center right now. Like a really old Al Horford is their really only option here if Porzingis is indeed out at times. So that's not great. I do understand why that's not great. And again, they did give up good draft capital here. From what I understand, Malcolm Brogdon was probably gone one way or the other. I know when the Celtics were releasing like clips from training camp or whatever, you just didn't see Malcolm Brogdon in any of that shit. I think it was from like voluntary like workouts that you could show up to, and he just was not showing up to them. And there's again the injury stuff with him. So I'm not really taking Malcolm Brogdon as a huge loss because I don't know that he was going to be here one way or the other. But ultimately, I feel like this is a move that, yes, did you overpay? Sure, but it was worth it. I feel like that's the issue that people get when evaluating trades, is they see something as an overpay and think that just overpaying is inherently a thing that you just cannot do, should not do, and if you overpay, you inherently just made a bad decision. I think a starting lineup of Jrue Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis, and Al Horford, or a starting lineup of Jrue Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis, whatever that may be, very, very good starting lineup with a very, very good bench player, whether that be Al Horford or Derek White. A little bit concerned about their bench depth for sure, but again, you were losing guys that were very questionable to be around to begin with. So you're losing some depth, but that starting lineup is damn good. And let me tell you, Boston has always been a good defense. Jrue Holiday is a better defender than Marcus Smart, in my opinion. Maybe a less versatile one, but at least in terms of defending the point guard spot or a guard in general, so good. It does a lot of the ability of like being able to play way bigger than he is to some degree as well. I just really like what he can bring to the table, Jrue Holiday, for this team. I understand there is the concerns about his playoff record. I've talked about that pretty extensively when I talked about what his potential trade value would be. But the thing about that is, like, in recent context, Jrue Holiday has been the third, or often in moments because of Chris Middleton's injury, at least last year, the second option. If that's going to be the case, then yeah, it really sucks that Jrue Holiday can't hit a fucking shot in the playoffs. I believe in the run where the Celtics made the finals in 2021. Why am I mixing my years up right now? I'm such an old man. Either way, there was the series where Chris Middleton wasn't there and Jrue Holiday was the second option, and that's not good. However, you're going to give the ball to Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kristaps Porzingis before you're going to give it to Jrue Holiday, or at least you're going to have the offense run through them before him. So for that reason, I think it's fine. You got to be a little concerned about the fact that he's not a strong outside shooter, but they managed to make the finals with Marcus Smart as their starting point guard, who obviously is also not a strong shooter. So I also think that is fine. Ultimately, this was a arms race type of move. I think when Daryl Morey traded for Chris Paul, he made some comment about the league being like an arms race. And after Damian Lillard went to Milwaukee became the very clear favorite in the Eastern Conference, and Boston had to do something to even that playing field. Now, I don't know if this does even the playing field, but it definitely gets it closer than it was beforehand, and ultimately I cannot fault them for that. I also find this super interesting because more likely than not, Boston and Milwaukee will be facing in the playoffs, and that means Jrue Holiday will be playing the Milwaukee Bucks in the playoffs and vice versa. So that's just interesting from a narrative story perspective and all that. So I'm really excited for that. Potentially some cool moments to come of that, or maybe he crumbles against the Bucks and proves exactly why they traded him for Dame to begin with. Also, I just got to put this out there. So many people are overthinking the Dame trade. I'm planning on making a Bucks video, just another one, not just my initial trade reaction. So I have some thoughts and I'll keep it there. But so many people are acting like, what about the defense? Get the fuck out of here. It's Damian Lillard. Shut up. That's what I have to say about that. Anyways, I think it's a solid move for Boston, an overpay, but one that I still would ultimately do. And for Portland, this is a home run. Miami didn't have the best offer. They didn't. And I also just want to address this as well. I've had a couple of people say that I've been hypocritical because I said that Portland kind of owed Dame a trade to Miami. I don't know that they owed it to him specifically to Miami. They owed it to him to put him on a genuine, legitimate contender. And I can't complain about the Bucks, and neither can Damian Lillard. So it's not hypocritical because ultimately he went to an excellent destination. It didn't have to be Miami specifically. I understand why if you're a Heat fan you would get caught up on the verbiage there, but ultimately Milwaukee, he's playing with fucking Giannis, man. Who can complain about that? I think the Blazers did right enough by Dame. He's in a good ass place, and I think Jrue Holiday has a chance to get back at Milwaukee here, which is really interesting. I'm excited for this season. This is a nice mix-up for sure. But yeah, that's it. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, and goodbye.